This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and exciting times. Those of you who watch my channel know that I am fond of folding phones. And what do we have here? For 2021, we have the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 and the Galaxy Z Fold 3 as well. So both of the folding phones here. And the good news, well, here's the good news first, and this covers both phones, and I'll talk about each of them individually in our first look here. Now, I've only had these phones for about 24 hours, like other channels you might have watched at this point, so we'll have in-depth reviews later. But first off, the good news, $200 cheaper than last year's models, both of these. The Galaxy Z Fold 3 is still insanely expensive, though. It's $1799. That said, Samsung and carriers in the United States, and I'm sure around the world, have some incredible trade-in deals, like $1,000 off up to, so it can take some of the pain out of that. And the Z Flip 3 is at that, shall we say, magical $999 price. Why say magical? Because that's kind of your average flagship territory. In fact, some flagships are even more than that. So for people who are thinking, I would love to have a folding phone, something that I could close, fit in a pocket, all that neat stuff, but I don't want to pay more than a Galaxy S21 is going to cost me. Well, now you don't have to. So that's the good news there. Also, on the durability front, Samsung says they've made the inner displays, the ones with ultra-thin glass, the flexible ones that are the most delicate, more durable. Now, from what they've told me, it sounds like it's mostly the top layer, which is the semi-permanent screen protector that Samsung can replace for you if you need to, but you shouldn't replace yourself. So it used to be it would show fingernail dents, it would really grab on the fingerprints, it was gross. Now I've owned both the Z Fold 2 and the previous generation Flip, and I can tell you, they get nasty. So 80% more durable for the Fold and 30% more durable for the Flip. So that helps a little bit for those of you who are like, well, man, that screen protector just looks all nasty really soon, then you got to send it to Samsung or take it to one of their stores to get it fixed. Okay. The other durability thing is, to me, the benefit isn't really the durability so much as the improvement in looks and in grip. They're switched to what they call Armor Aluminum, which is supposed to be stronger than 7000 series aluminum, instead of using stainless steel, which might be pretty and premium, but it's heavier and it's slippery as anything. So this is much more grippy. I particularly appreciate this on the Flip, because the previous Flip design was just, it was a slippy bar of soap. You could not hold on to that to save your life, and it didn't look so great in cases, so you hated to put a case on. And this year you really hate to, because there are some pretty colors. This is their more fashion-forward item here. They think that women are going to buy it, and obviously the BTS guys, you know, they all pose with it, but there's a whole bunch of really pretty colors with this, so you might not feel like you need to hide it quite as much. The screen sizes on the interior displays are the same for both of these as they were for the previous generation. So we're looking at a 6.7-inch screen, which is about the same size as an S21 Plus, not bad for the Flip. And for the Fold, you got a 7.6-inch inner display, resolution unchanged. What is new for the Flip, and this is why I'm more excited about it, is they've made more changes here, because this one was not as evolved. They've already gone through more iterations with the Fold. But now the outer display, which is this dark area here, is 1.9 inches in higher resolution instead of that little narrow strip. So it's a little bit more like the Moto Razr in terms of functionality. There are widgets that you can have here. You can set always on display so you can see the time and missed calls and stuff. You can have the weather on here and your next appointments, a timer, all that sort of stuff. So it makes it genuinely useful. And I still would pick this over the Moto Razr because it's just a much more durable design compared to the Razr, where you can actually stick a fingernail in and pull the screen up away from the phone. That's never a good idea. Next durability thing is water resistance. It's amazing that they could do this, given that you've got this hinge where water can ingress on both of these phones. But they're IPX8 water resistant, which means 1.5 meters of water for 30 minutes immersion. Clean water, not Coca-Cola, not seawater, all that sort of thing. And they did that by silicone sealing pretty much everything internally. So they say you might actually get some water in, but it'll be okay, and just let it dry out. That said, in our loan agreement from Samsung for these units, they did ask us not to immerse them. But still, it's important not only because you want to go out in the rain and not worry about it, but also we're still in COVID times, and say you want to clean your phone and use some water on it. Now, it should be okay. We also have the Snapdragon 888, which is the latest and greatest processor that's available on both of these models, and that's for all markets. So you're not going to get, shall I say, stuck with an Exynos if you happen to be in Europe or the Middle East or wherever. So what's not so great? Well, you see how thin these pretty boxes are? No charger. That's right. You can spend $1,799 and still not get a charger in the box. So Samsung says that's for environmental reasons. You're following Apple's footsteps, whatever it is. Yes, you're going to have to supply your own charger. You do get a USB-C cable. And with the Fold, only the first generation of the Fold got the Galaxy Buds wireless buds. You don't get it with the Fold 2, or now with the Fold 3, you don't even get wired earbuds with these. Oh, one more durability thing. Gorilla Glass Victus on the outside surfaces. Not that anybody was so worried about the outer glass. All phones are glass these days. We're used to being somewhat careful with them. And Samsung is going to have a variety of cases, and particularly the flip cases. They're really cool. I hope they send them to us so we get them. Speaking of, I hope they send it to us, they did not send us an S Pen. The Fold 3 supports the S Pen, which is something that everybody wanted, because they don't have them yet to send to us. Hopefully they will in time for the full review. Again, we'll have full reviews of both of these phones after I've lived with them for a significant period of time. So the S Pen is Wacom EMR, just like the S Pen on all other Samsung products, the Note, their tablets, you name it, and it's great stuff. It's the cousin to what Wacom uses on their Cintiq tablets, okay? But they changed up one thing. They changed the frequency on the pen, not because there was a technical need for it, but because they don't want you using existing S Pens, because the S Pen normal one is a very narrow, fine pointy tip, which just might damage that ultra-thin glass. Also, the one that's made specially for the Fold has a spring-loaded tip, besides the fact it's softer and a little bit wider, so that if you're one of those people who really presses and writes hard, well, it's gonna spring load, so you're not gonna damage it. So that way they figure you're never gonna try to use a regular S Pen on it because it ain't gonna work. You get the idea. All right, so like I said, even though I'm kind of more of a Fold person, I mean, I've had both of the phones and I'm a power user, but I've always had a soft spot for this. It just feels like a very personal and fun device to use, but most of the changes really happened this generation for the Flip 3, so let's talk about that first. Now we have stereo speakers, which we didn't have before, and boy, this is a loud little phone, and the display is 120 Hertz for the refresh rate. It's flexible OLED, ultra-thin glass, same resolution as the previous generation, but 120 Hertz is just more with the program these days for a premium phone, and it is noticeable once you get used to a fast refresh phone. You kind of hate to go back. With both of these phones, the big ding here is the cameras have not changed really from the previous generation, other than improvements in software. So the reason for that is they wanted to make them more affordable compared to the previous generations, at least I would assume here. But, you know, you've got a $1,000 phone and you're saying, well, I get an ultra-wide and a main wide, and I don't even get my telephoto lens, and that's a little bit of a hurt. I mean, it takes nice pictures, and in the full review you'll see samples and all that sort of thing, but, yeah. And with the Fold 3, you have a triple camera setup. So you do get the ultra-wide, the main, and then the telephoto lens, but it's sort of like, you know, the same tech that we had before. This is not going to compete with the S21 Ultra, certainly, in terms of photography, this Fold 3 phone. The phone comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs or 256 gigs of storage, and there's no micro SD card slot. Both of these phones are 5G, so you're all set there. Every major carrier is going to offer it, plus Samsung will sell it unlocked, so a lot of options. If you pre-order from Samsung, you can get some freebies thrown in. $200 pre-order credit towards accessories for the Fold, and $150 for the Flip. So, you know, you want the new Galaxy Buds 2, which we will be reviewing, you can get that. You want the new Watch 4, there you go. You got some money towards that. The phone runs Android 11 with One UI 3.1. It is fast and it's fluid. Long gone are the days when we picked on Samsung for their TouchWiz kind of interface. All past history. You get security updates and incremental updates monthly with the phones, and you get several years of major OS upgrades guaranteed from Samsung now, so no complaints. Battery is 3,300 milliamp. That's not going to knock the socks off of anybody, is it? It's okay. If you're a light to moderate user, you'll make it through the day. Otherwise, you might need to top it up. So to keep it this thin, this light, this small, that's what they had to do. It does support Qi wireless charging, only 10 watts, so not super fast, and wired charging speed is 15 watts, so not the fastest charger on the block, just like the last generation. And now for our Z Fold 3, same story, Snapdragon 888 across all markets, but you get 12 gigs of RAM, just like with the last generation model for this phone, and you can get it with either 256 or 512 gigs of storage, non-expandable, 5G. Yeah, so it's got a matte finish on it, which is nice and is grippy, so yay that. I mean, obviously you still have glass on the front face, but that helps. And you have your choice of a silver, which I really like. It looks pretty flash. And you've got this, well, black, and then there's a green color, which, well, I leave it up to you as to what you think of that. The Galaxy Buds are available in green too. I don't think I want green things in my ears, but hey, you never know what fashion sense you might have. This one is more for the business crossover note users, so they don't go for the fashionable colors like with the Flip. In terms of display quality with this big boy, 29% brighter inside. I didn't feel like the last generation was in need of a brightness lift, but given the fact that the screen protector layer on the top is kind of reflective, it does help a bit with that. It's a beautiful enough looking screen, to be sure. I would say I think the Z Flip screen is a little bit prettier, a little bit more clarity on it, and definitely an improvement from the previous generation, aesthetically speaking, in terms of what you want to see in a display, which is clarity, color, contrast, all that sort of thing, but nice. And the external display on this is a traditional display, only, well, quite tall and quite narrow. But anything you can do on the inside of the phone, you can do on the outside of the phone, and that's nice. You have a nice, good quality selfie camera on the front face of the phone, rather. But inside, they've switched to an under-display camera for the selfie camera. So, you know, we've seen this tried, and it's a challenge still because you have fewer pixels actually available to the camera, all that. Besides that, I can actually still see the camera pretty easily under the display, but it is less visible than the old way of doing it. The quality, you can see a comparison, and you can just, without us even labeling it, the one that looks not good, that's the under display camera, and the one that looks good is taken with the outer. So thank goodness you can do that. The phone, just like before, supports wireless charging and 25-watt wired charging. So this one's a bit of a faster charge when it's plugged in. It has a 4,400 milliamp battery inside, which is actually a little bit smaller than the previous generation, which you could say bummer, but I suppose the Snapdragon 888 is supposed to be a little bit more power efficient. So far, I do have to test it more. It seems like battery life is comparable to the last generation, which is to say good. One of the things I liked about the Fold 2 was good battery life. Really, it would last through a day with fairly heavy use. Both of these have fingerprint scanners embedded in the power button on the side of the phone. Just like the Fold 2, it makes you enroll your fingerprint with the phone open, which is pretty weird because I think most of us probably unlock our phone holding it, you know, normal ways, but the fingerprint scanners actually work this time. They were not great in the previous generations, and they work like every time. My only complaint with the Flip 3 is it's very high up. I have big hands and long fingers, and I can't reach it very easily, but it's in the perfect position on the Fold 3. So there you have it, our first look at 2021 folding phones from Samsung. And like I said, I'm a fan of folding phones. It's not just, oh, they're new, but, well, I mean, let's face it, they're kind of new, cool and exciting, but there's use cases for both of these. As a woman particularly, yes, we have smaller pockets and it's the summer and wearing shorts. I mean, this thing just fits anywhere. I tend not to leave my phone behind and it's ringing and I'm like, okay, where's my phone? That's nice. It's just a good looking, easy to handle, not too huge phone, but still a pretty big screen. And with this, obviously, this is a power user's dream. It opens up into a tablet. It's not really much heavier than a Galaxy S21 Ultra. We have the S Pen now. Oh God, I can't wait to test that out. That's pretty cool stuff. But as ever, the thing that a lot of you, I think, are going to worry about is not so much whether you can use it, because you're probably fold curious, aren't you? You might want to try them, but the delicacy of the inner displays. And the screen protectors have gotten more durable more than anything else, so there's still concern. I know some people have managed to crack this down the center of the inner screen on the Fold. I haven't seen as many problems with the Flip, probably because there's a much smaller crease, a much smaller area that's being covered. I had no problems with my phones. I did have a friend, though, who did get a crack down the center of the fold, and Samsung's local store actually fixed it pretty quickly and reasonably. But the one thing they are doing this time around is they're giving you the first year of Samsung Care Plus free. That's for accidental damage. You get the usual 1-year warranty with these, so if it fails through some manufacturing defect or whatever, that's all going to be covered. But if you have a whoopsie and you drop it on the pavement or something like that, or your kid finds a way to take these strung hinges and bend it backwards or something like that, then at least you're covered for the first year for free. And it's a 3-year plan, so you can go all the way out to 3 years if you want to keep paying like $12.98 a month or something. But one thing to keep in mind, I was looking at the contract, and I believe there is a $249 deductible. So if you do crap out your screen somehow and it's your fault, you will have to pay that much. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more folding phone videos, including full reviews of these, and thumbs up if you like this vid.